As per the usual arrangement, the return from international duty was anything but. Red cards, own goals, upsets, comebacks. There was a little bit of everything. Well, everything except for a point for my Wolves. I guess they were close, but moral victories don't save you from relegation. We review the wreckage today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello and welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. We're actually back now. Hello. It's the other side of the international break. And those of us who may or may not have been ill have become well enough to record. And so here we are. Glad to be here. Did you have a fun international break, Keegan?
It was fun until the U.S. got slacked by Mexico.
Well,
it wasn't so fun.
Two of our guys had already gone home at that point, right? Didn't Pulisic pull out for that one, and who else went home? We lost two.
We lost Weston McKennie, I think. Yeah. Pulisic. I don't know. Tim Howard said that can't happen if we want to be a serious international squad. So,
wasn't it in Mexico?
It was. It was.
I mean, I don't blame them for not. Playing in Mexico does not seem like a lot of fun. Those, what were once beer cups being filled with other liquids that may or may not resemble beer and being chucked on the pitch whenever you take a corner. And Pulisic takes our corners. So, listen, I know it's dodging the heat or whatever, but it's a friendly. We're already qualified for the World Cup, I would not be. I wouldn't be thrilled about playing there either.
Yeah.
But we're here for Champions League. Well, Champions League is in wait, hold on. Champions League was in the previous episode. That's how these will be released. This is our Premier League recap of the week that was match week 8. Coming back from the international break. You know what we always say. Strange things are afoot on either side of the international break. And that held true for this match day. Own goals, red cards, upsets, a lot of stuff happened. And we'll go ahead and hop right into it with one that wasn't so crazy. Tottenham takes out West Ham 4-1 at home. A good result for them, obviously, especially coming back from another early West Ham goal. Mohamed Kudus got an 18th minute. But then Spurs worked themselves back into the match and sort of after Kulusevski brought it back even at the halftime, they pretty much dominated the second half, it felt like.
Yeah, not a lot of talking points here. West Ham, typically in the past, they've been a team that they get a goal early and can hunker down and win. Not this West Ham team. They were annihilated in the second half, an embarrassing own goal. Son finally got his goal on his return to action. Tottenham just looked like the better team, honestly.
And to tap it all off, a red card in the 86th, just for kicks and giggles. Who got there? Kudus got himself a red card there in the 86th minute. So there's first own goal and first red card of this weekend. Next matchup was Fulham and one of the next matches up was Fulham and West Ham. This one also had its own share of red cards and own goals. Aston Villa does pull off the victory. 2 very early goals with Raul Jimenez getting one in the 5th and then Morgan Rogers in the 9th to bring it back level. And then we get into the second half, and that's where, a straight red there for Joachim Anderson. Joachim? I don't know. Right after Ollie Watkins' goal. Then the own goal by Issa Diop in the 69th brought Aston Villa up to their 3, and they were able to coast. But they did pick up a second yellow for Jadon Philogene in the 90+3. So Aston Villa continuing their run of good form here, even away from home.
Yeah, this one really was. The red card changed the entire match.
Yeah.
Because even though Aston Villa were up 2-1, I felt like Fulham was playing pretty well. Then the Anderson straight red really just demoralized them. They played well off the backs of the own goal to make it 3-1, but with 10 minutes, really hard to come back when you're down by 2 goals.
Yeah, especially against Aston Villa. They're pretty organized there in the back when they're playing as well as they were in this one. From that Craven Cottage up to Manchester for Manchester United and Brentford. This one we had a chance at. I think we both picked this one to go against those Red Devils. I had a draw, and I believe you had them losing, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you did. We sort of had that for a moment. 45 plus 5. Brentford caps off their pretty decent first half with a goal, but then very early on, Garnacho gets a goal, and then Rasmus Højlund puts it away in the 62nd.
Yeah, this was a Man United last season's transfer's dream. I mean, Garnacho comes on the scene. Højlund finally gets a goal. Tough on Brentford. They just cannot find a way to finish a match when they go up 1-0. Maybe it's because they're playing the competition they are, but boy, Man U is not a team that should have done that to them.
No.
So that's going to be at least 2 points, if not 3 points, fully lost that Brentford's going to feel like they should have had.
Yeah. Manchester United not exactly in the form that you would want to give up a lead against right now. But maybe they can take this international break in this victory and maybe get some things going back in the right direction. Who knows? Speaking of a team going in the right direction, Brighton Hove Albion gets themselves an away 3 points against Newcastle off of the 35th minute Danny Welbeck goal.
Yeah, this one, the entire match was just a lot of bumbling and bustling around. Newcastle had their chances, Brighton had their chances, but as we both pointed out, Brighton this season just looked like a different squad. Last year it was the flip-flopping between winning 3-1 and losing 3-1. And now there seemed to be that team that can grind out wins. And that's a big win at St. James's Park for Brighton. And I think that if they can keep that kind of momentum up, when they do start scoring goals again, they could start blowing some teams away.
Yeah, I mean, the back-to-back victory over Tottenham on the far side of the break, and this win here. And now they go against my Wolves, so that's probably another 3 easy points right there. That's a nice month of work right there for October. 3 wins. That's setting themselves up to be in the hunt. They've stayed in it longer than they did last year. I mean, we're in match day 8 and they haven't plummeted off a cliff yet. So, up in 5th.
True.
Yeah, up in 5th and within striking distance of sneaking up into those automatic qualifiers for the Champions League. But we still got a long way to go before we start about stuff like that. Then we go to relegation battle 2024. Southampton and Leicester This one was a tale of two halves, I would say. Pretty definitively. And another red card making a pretty big difference. Cameron Archer and Joe Aribo get Southampton on the goal on the books in the first half with their 2 goals, and then Facundo Buonanotte, man, coming through for Leicester. We talked about him in the preview episode. That young kid from Brighton. I mean, he is put in work for Leicester time and again, and he got the ball rolling here with the 64th minute goal, and then a nice another straight red. That one for Ryan Fraser. Set up the Jamie Vardy pin, which drew it, and then 90 plus 8, another late winner, this time for Leicester City by Jordan Ayew.
Yeah, a lot of tap-ins in this one. The first 3 goals basically were just crosses and tap-ins.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we talked about Buonanotte. You seemed to be the one that was high on his radar,
Okay,
that you
fine.
thought that he was going to be the one. I didn't have much to say about him, so I'll give you kudos to that. I mean, you saw the writing on the wall for him. But the straight red, Vardy probably scores that, but
Yeah.
Fraser just literally pulls on his jersey as he's swinging at an open goal shot. I get it, why you're trying to prevent that to give a chance to get that save penalty, but then now you put your team in 10 men.
Yeah.
And you already have the momentum away from the entire stadium. Leicester have the gusto to go get a third. The Ayew goal was kind of funny. He kind of mishit it, and it just kind of took a perfect path through a couple of legs into the to the goal. But this is the Leicester team that I thought that experience was going to start moving them up the table, moving the needle away from teams like Southampton. And so far, that's a big win
Yeah,
at Southampton for relegation battles.
certainly is. I mean, it's 9 points. They've now taken care of Bournemouth, and they've taken care of this team here, Southampton. My mind just went blank right now, and they have Nottingham Forest on the other side, who is not as bad as I think they are. Okay, they're not as bad as I think they are this year. They're fine. They're decent. They're good. They're better than my Wolves, so that's not saying a lot. But speaking of my Wolves, we'll get to them later. Next up, Everton manages to hold on to a 2-goal lead. Now, it was against Ipswich Town, so, everything with a grain of salt. But not a lot of action in this one. The 2 goals there for Everton in the first half, and then they had some additional action, but only 2 shots on goal for Ipswich Town in this whole match. Not against a team like Everton. You really need to be pinging some more shots on frame, because they've shown that they will let them in.
Yeah, this was a tide-turning type of game because Everton, pre-international break, was losing these types of games. And now they've gotten a 2-0 lead. They've held the 2-0 lead. So you're kind of maybe feeling this could be the turning of the page of the season. I don't know, but they're out of that relegation zone right now, so they can keep up the momentum. They could stay out of it for good.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of a gap too. They got 5 points on Crystal Palace for 18th. That's something to defend. That is a distinguishing. It's 2 weekends worth, right? It's 2 full weekends, 2 full match days worth of mistakes that you can avoid before if you were to succumb. And then to the really strange one here. This is the one that we've said strange things happen on the other side, and this one triggered also by a red card. Bournemouth beats Arsenal at home 2-0.
As I was telling you before record, the 1 week that I don't pick Arsenal to lose, they lose 2-0. Shocking. But even before the red card, Arsenal weren't playing well. They looked a little bit sluggish. They looked tired. Again, kind of that post-international break. We got to figure it back out again. So I don't think this kills Arsenal's title hopes. I think we're way too early for that. But it is a pretty big blow when you see how well City and Liverpool are playing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets the side that you really... I mean, you're expecting 3 here if you're Arsenal, obviously. It's Bournemouth. I know you're at Bournemouth, but still, it's a very poor result. It bumps Bournemouth up to 11th though, so they are now distinctly middle of the table. So good for them. Good for them. That it wraps up the action on Saturday. This match day, and we'll get to it in a moment. I'll talk about how our picks did here in a moment. We didn't lose money, okay? We didn't lose money. It's close. Wasn't far off. Then to Sunday, we'll start off here with my Wolves losing. Listen, we had a chance. We were up. 7th minute. Jurgen Strand-Larsen gets a goal. He's starting to really put it together now, finally converting on some of those chances he had earlier on. He seems like he's a good guy for us. But 33rd minute, Gvardiol, I mean, he's shown that he can hit him. And boy, howdy did he. And then all the way, 90 plus 5. We couldn't quite finish it out. John Stones gets another one, 90 plus 5. City takes the whole kit and caboodle.
I do want to say, so I was not at my note sheet when I sent you my picks. I was at home, so I wrote them differently. But looking back at my note sheet, as I'll show the camera, I did select Bournemouth beating Arsenal 2-1. On my note sheet, pre-international break, it doesn't count because it wasn't the final submission. But my pre-international break self thought Bournemouth would do it, and then the day of, I backed out. Beside the point, City need to figure out how to not let in goals within the first 10 minutes of the match. I think they're doing it maybe for the viewership, to keep viewers in the game longer. I think that's what they're doing. Kind of like the Chiefs Mahomes isn't playing well right now for the Chiefs because he's got to keep it interesting. He's got to keep it close. But I mean, this is one of those matches where we've seen in the past where Liverpool have done it, City have done it, Man U used to do it, where when the attackers aren't there, the defenders step up and score goals.
Mm-hmm.
And to have two defenders be the reason City win is a big deal.
Yeah.
This was probably the first game I felt like Wolves got on the front foot and continued to look organized. There's nothing you're doing to stop that Vardiol shot. No. That was a beauty outside the box. But really, like, Wolves should have escaped here with a point. Even two or 3 points. Can't escape with 2 points. 2 more points to get 3 points. Because Kuna had a couple of good chances. He had one good look outside the box there in like the 60th, 70th minute that I really thought was going to get past Ederson. So I think even though it's a 2-1 loss, it's still a positive step forward for Wolves. But, boy, this could have been an interesting weekend had Wolves taken points off of City.
Yeah. I guess I have to keep taking these moral victories since.
If we looked at strength of schedule, Wolves have got to be on top. I mean, They played literally everyone in the top 6 in the first 8 match weeks.
I've been saying for a long time, our first stretch of winnable matches is still not for like another full month, where we can get multiple weeks in a row. Where like, okay, I feel like we can string together 2 victories. Because
December just put Wolves money line all December.
I did not say that. Don't do that. But, even at the beginning of the season, you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, it starts to kind of let up with Brighton. Well, Brighton's now in 5th and playing and beating all the best teams in the league. So that's not a relent. So 1 point out of 8 weeks is still, I would consider it unacceptable. It's not great. I'm done. I'm done with this one. We're moving on to the next one. Liverpool and Chelsea 2-1. With a Salah penalty getting us off in the 29th with a Nicholas Jackson on the other side of the half, and then Curtis Jones 51st, and after that, not a ton. Another one where Chelsea only had 2 shots on goal. Almost 60% possession, but almost only 2 shots on goal. Strange for them. 12 shots in total, but still not a lot of accuracy coming from them in this match. You just can't, as we've said many times, Chelsea remains a very up and down offensive side.
Yeah, this felt like during the match just a older, more mature team kind of bullying and dictating the game without the possession, because it did feel like Chelsea had a majority of the ball. However, they weren't given any sort of lanes whatsoever to do anything with. Yeah. So I think it was more of a Liverpool defensive masterclass that kept Chelsea out. And I think a lot of teams should go back and watch this tape to see what they did to Chelsea, because even that one goal, I mean, he was barely onside.
Yeah.
Like, you just moved that one defender's foot up 6 inches and he's off. So I would attribute that one goal to even being slightly lucky. So Liverpool, great on defense. And Chelsea, I mean, consistency, got to figure it out.
Yeah, it speaks to how well Liverpool's playing. Sort of like City, that they're able to win in so many different ways right now. City makes their way back into that match even when they're not playing their best offensively. Liverpool letting the game sort of develop around them and adjusting to and overcoming Chelsea in so many different ways in that. It's a good result for both those squads in matches that you would prefer they had done better in. But it's finding ways to win matches is sometimes more important than being flashy. And then it's not technically the weekend, but the on Monday, yesterday, Nottinghamforest does take out Crystal Palace 1-0. 65-minute Chris Wood goal is all that separates them there. And Crystal Palace remains really far down. They had their chances. I mean, 20 shots apiece for both teams. 7 shots on goal for Crystal Palace. They had their chances, but they could not convert in the end.
Yeah, my stat here is that Crystal Palace is the first winless side since Blackburn Rovers in 1996-97. to only concede as few as 11 goals in their first 8 matches. So defensively, they're doing fine. But offensively, they just can't find the back of the net.
Which is
I think
so
it's only
weird.
a matter of time.
Which is so weird because they kept all their good offensive players. Like we were talking about how they might lose Eze. We were talking about
other than Elise, they did keep Eze, they did keep Mateta.
Jean-Philippe.
I don't know what the issue is, but yeah, I mean, I think once they start finding the back of the net, they'll start winning some games. But it's tough to say it's like a manager issue or a defense. Like it literally is. They just cannot finish in front of the back of the net.
They're pulling a full-on Everton right now. 5 goals so far this season. That's it. I mean, my Wolves have double that amount. We got 10. Now we've let in 23, which is, over double what they have conceded. But yeah, we talked. I still think that if Crystal Palace can figure out how to put the ball in the back of the net, I still think they can catch some people because they do have some of those flashes and they do work well together. It's just not happening for whatever reason. Strange. But this match day, not our best work. We both went 4-6. This was the first match day of the season where the favorites beat us. Favorites ended up with 3.66 units. I had 3.27. You had 2.79. So it's our first L that we're hanging with the favorites there. Favorites are still the only ones to have lost money on a particular match day. So, we can hold our heads high in that regard. But not a great result. Not terribly great matches. Like I said, pretty sloppy. A lot of stuff was pretty sloppy. But that moves us into this next match day, which we'll look forward to later this week. Before we get to there, though, we will have our Champions League recap on the other side of these midweek matches. You can check out our preview episode just on the other side. You know what? Hey, since I'm on a roll here, go ahead and head on over to our Substack. We're going to start doing stuff on there. That's where you can find and sub. And aside from here, you can also sub on here. You can certainly do that as well. Leave a comment and maybe we'll shout you out. Haven't seen you in a bit, Flint21. Don't know where you went, bro. But is it Flint? Is it right? Flint21? I think that's his name.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah. We've just gotten some people telling us how to pronounce their team names most recently. And then a good
Leicester.
Leicester and Brighton Hove Albion. That's how I'd say it, right? It's because it's in the south. It's supposed to be kind of French, right?
Yeah, I think so. So Crystal Palace right now is they have a 14% conversion rate in front of goal. Just to give you some context, 5 of 36.
Yeah, that's poor. That's poor.
that is poor for sure.
All right. Well, anything else besides that abysmal stat before we get out of here?
No. I mean, City right now have the most shots on target, and they're still converting at a 34% rate. So, yeah, Crystal Palace, you got to start scoring or else you're going to be relegated by match day 20.
Oof.
So get going.
Get going, Crystal. You heard the man. Get going. Wolves. Maybe we've already sailed you down the river. Anyways, until we get the other episode. Oh my goodness! Why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye, Dave.